My name is Elena Hegel, and I bring you greetings from my back patio in the beautiful colonial city of San Cristobal de las Casas in the southern state of Chiapas in Mexico. This morning I would like to share with you some liminal stories about healing from the Roots in the Ruins program, which is nested in the Institute for Intercultural Studies and Research here in Chiapas, but has branches through the work of trained facilitators with other global ministries partners in countries such as Chile, Argentina, Paraguay, Honduras, Nicaragua, Puerto Rico, and the United States. This program started at the Shalom Center in the Pentecostal Church of Chile after the devastating earthquakes and tsunamis in 2010. During the Roots in the Ruins courses, we used this labyrinth model to walk through our traumatic experiences. We began here at the traumatic events at the entrance to the labyrinth and begin walking on past our emotional injuries. We take a look at the depressive or aggressive reactions that we have because of those injuries and continue walking to the place where we can break free. Along the way, we tell our stories, and then we seek justice. We seek to restore our dignity and reconnect in healthy, life-giving ways. In the center of the labyrinth is the espacio liminal, or the liminal space, that threshold in time and space where change occurs. We walk in and out of this liminal space as we work through the different parts of our story. During this whole process, we are developing resilience. Walking this labyrinth is rather like peeling an onion. We walk into the center, the liminal space, as we seek healing in mind, body, and spirit, and in relationship with others, and then return to the path to discover how we can continue to tell our stories, develop resilience, nurture dignity, and seek justice. We return to the liminal space, that in-between time and place, after peeling off another layer of healing, and we return time and time again as we discover new areas that need healing. During the prolonged pause of the pandemic, in this year of uncertainty, we have a unique opportunity to peel back the layers and work through our personal and social traumas to the heart of our healing. During one of the Roots in the Ruins retreats at the Shalom Center in Chile, a dozen hummingbirds swarmed around us, messengers celebrating the renewal of hopes and dreams in the midst of ruins and ashes. One of the women participants had recently suffered the loss of her newborn baby. She wrestled with the paradox of death at the beginning of life, of despair at the end of dreams, of questions responding to answers. With her soul laid bare, I took her by the hand and led her under the blooming tree where the hummingbirds were coming and going. We stood in silence, and then she began to weep. I left her there under the care of the hummingbirds to attend to the rest of the participants. Eventually, she returned to the group and told us that the hummingbirds had taken her grief and brought back from God a tiny message of peace, just big enough to be carried on those tiny wings. Rest in me, in the mystery of the unanswerable, in the hope of things not yet known or seen, but will be abundantly good, the hummingbirds seemed to say in buzzing whispers. Participants in the Roots in the Ruins program from Paraguay explained that in their Guarani culture, the hummingbird represents the place where heaven caresses the earth, and its flight is a reminder of the existence of the land without evils, here with us now, and yet beyond in our limited perception of time and space. Hummingbirds, or the mainumbu, as they are called in Guarani, invite us to search for and believe in the land without evils, that place where we will live into pu'awapu, literally the place of tranquil stomachs, which is the Guarani metaphor for peace. The first place we feel the lack of peace, the Guarani say, is in the pit of our stomachs. When one's stomach is at ease, then one experiences peace. That peace, however, is not complete until everyone in the community enjoys a tranquil stomach, with enough food, a sense of their dignity, as well as the dignity of others, and a vision of hope and renewal in the present and in the future. For the Guarani, peace comes with equality. Everyone's stomach is at ease, and justice, enough food and opportunities for everyone, both locally and beyond the boundaries of a particular community. The hummingbird is the liminality messenger, calling us to seek individual and community peace with equality, dignity, and justice in our quest for the land without evils. In Chiapas, in southern Mexico, I met Elena, my tocaya, the term in Spanish we affectionately use for someone who has our same name. She belongs to the Celtal Tzotzil people, and her Mayan ancestors have lived in the Chiapan highlands of Mexico near the Guatemalan border for thousands of years. We have something else in common besides our names. We both love and identify with hummingbirds, the tiny birds native only to the Americas and incapable of surviving in cages that limit their freedom. Elena tells me that the hummingbirds are the ancestors, the grandmothers and grandfathers, coming to reassure us and infuse us with strength and hope. A legend of the Mayan people recounts how the hummingbird received the task of carrying wishes and thoughts between the gods and people. Hummingbirds are here to remind us to enjoy and protect our freedom, to be true to ourselves, to all that is good and life-giving, my tocaya explained to me one day. When I see a hummingbird pause on a branch, I remember that I too must stop, rest, breathe, and tell myself to simply be in the middle of all of my doing. Elena invites me into the traditional liminal space of the Mayan altar. Mayan altars are always created in community. They are made of transient gifts from nature, flowers, water, soil, seashells, and beeswax candles. Early one morning, Elena and three other co-workers, an American woman, a Tzotzil woman, and a Celtal man, and I, prepare a Mayan altar with fresh-cut flowers arranged in yellow, white, red, and lilac pie pieces, completing a circle on the floor. When everything is ready, the ocote, a piece of resinous heartwood of the Montezuma pine, is lit, and the pungent spice smell, along with the deep melodious moan of the conch shell, calls to us. We gather around the altar, holding candles to represent the four cardinal directions. Christians and those with Mayan spirituality, as well as those who profess no faith. Celtales, Tzotziles, Europeans, Mexicans, United Statesians, Canadians, and Lebanese are all drawn by the smell, the smoke, and the candles, and the flowers into this sacred space. We pray for our personal and collective awakening to peace in the midst of the political crisis and government-sponsored violence. We pray for courage and as the diversity of the environment around us disappears. We pray for justice in communities devastated by migration, alcoholism, and drug trafficking. We pray for the people of all nations to have the courage and the perseverance, the wisdom and the strength to stand in dignity as the Mayan people have stood again and again over the centuries, bending under oppression but not breaking, resilient and resistant. And with each prayer we turn east, west, north, and south. As I have traveled up and down and across the Americas, I am always on the lookout for glimpses of wisdom hidden in hummingbird stories. It never ceases to amaze me how many people have had a hummingbird moment that changed the direction of their lives. In preparing the Roots in the Ruins Hope and Trauma materials, I wrote a series of stories to help the children of Chile to heal in their relationship with nature after the earthquake and tsunamis. The tales invited the children to open up their souls to the beauty, well-being, and grounding that comes from reconnecting with nature, even as the aftershocks rumbled and shook their sense of security. I distilled my own intercultural perspective with these hummingbird encounters, dreams, and experiences into a story which I now share with you. I hope you enjoyed the story as much as the children have, and that it might entice you also to join the hummingbirds in that liminal space where heaven caresses the earth. As the King James Version of Psalm 85, verses 8, 9, 10, and 11 says, I will hear what the Lord will speak, for he will speak peace unto his people and to his saints, but let them not turn again to folly. Surely his salvation is nigh them that fear him, that glory may dwell in our land. Mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. I would like to end our time together sharing with you one of the stories that I share with the children that is their favorite. It is collected from wisdom of the Guarani people in Paraguay and the Mayan people here in Chiapas. When God created all of the animals, he created a tiny little being that was very excitable, had an insatiable appetite, and that buzzed and clicked around the flowers in the most extraordinary way. As the birds looked at it, they decided it's not a bird, so they made it join the insect kingdom. But the little hummingbird was very confused. It didn't know, am I a bird or am I an insect? I certainly have feathers like a bird, and I fly like a bird, but maybe I'm an insect because I drink the nectar from the flowers and I buzz like an insect. So it happened that the bird was sent out into the garden, and as it wandered around, it suddenly came across a big red flower. The hummingbird was just going to stick its beak into the flower to collect some nectar when it heard a yell. Hey, what are you doing? And there it found a tiny little soul. See, the Guarani people believe that the souls that have not been kind in this life are sent into the garden to hide in the flowers until they learn kindness and sweetness so that they can find their way to heaven. Well, this grumpy old soul told the hummingbird, get out of here, this is my flower. The hummingbird said, what are you doing here? I'm waiting to find my way to heaven. The hummingbird said, I have heard that if you fly very, very fast, on the first ray of sunlight that comes down in the first light of dawn, if you fly up that ray, you can make it into heaven. If you would like, said the hummingbird, I'll come looking for you tomorrow morning before dawn. I will pick you up in my beak and fly as fast as I can on the first ray of light right into heaven. The old soul said, I've been so mean and cross all my life, I don't believe you'll actually do this for me. But the next morning, before dawn, the hummingbird was there at the little red flower and picked up the soul in its beak. For souls are light enough to fit in the beak of a hummingbird. And the hummingbird flew as fast as it could up the first ray of dawn into heaven. And there, waiting for them, was an angel. Welcome, said the angel. What can I do for you on this splendid morning? The old soul said, I've been so mean and cross, I never found my way into heaven. And the angel said, but everyone is welcome here. And the little soul jumped out of the hummingbird and ran as fast as it could into heaven before somebody changed their mind. The hummingbird was getting ready to go into heaven too when the angel said, no, it's not time for you yet. I have a message that I'm going to send back to earth with you, a message of peace. So the hummingbird picked up the message and brought it back to earth, and then began searching through the flowers again for other souls that needed to find their way into heaven. The hummingbird spent several months flying back and forth between heaven and earth, carrying souls into heaven and bringing back messages of peace, of hope, and joy. Until one day, when the hummingbird was flying with a soul into heaven, it discovered that it wasn't an angel waiting there at the entrance into heaven, but God was there. And the hummingbird thought, this is my chance. Went right up to God a little shyly and asked, excuse me, can you tell me, am I a bird or am I an insect? And God started to laugh and said, oh little one, said God, you are exactly what I created you to be. You are a messenger between heaven and earth, a bird with wings so fast that you can carry souls into heaven and bring messages of peace, of joy, and hope back to earth. Keep doing your job, little one, said God, because the task that you're doing is such an important one. The Guarani people believe that if you open your soul when you see a hummingbird, you will enter for an instant into that liminal space where heaven caresses and kisses the earth. The hummingbird will deliver its heavenly message right into your soul to encourage you with peace and joy and hope. The Mayan people invite us to pause to be fully present when we see a hummingbird and wait to receive the wisdom of our grandfathers and grandmothers. So the next time you see a hummingbird, I encourage you to take a moment to enter into a liminal space of healing and transformation. Ask God to show you what is the next step that you should take in the labyrinth to tell your story, develop resilience, seek justice and dignity in your personal life or in your family, church, or community. And if you happen to disturb a grumpy old soul hiding in your garden, be reassured that a hummingbird will be along soon to help it find its way into the land without evils.